have the prayer followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Father God, we thank you for your kindness in bringing us all together today. Though we may not know what this meeting holds, we know that you do. As we begin, Lord, help us to keep your word in mind. Lead us into conversations that are fruitful and enrich the lives of those who are here today. When we are undecided, please lead us in your wisdom. When our opinions may disagree, help us to remain respectful to one another more than anything. Lord, would you help us both to seek your will and to pursue your glory. Do all that we say and do. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, I call the meeting to order for agenda business. Public comment. Sheriff.
Richard Box.
Richard.
Yeah, I left some exhibits up there, 1 through 38, Ms. Heinzman, related to this public comment. I was here during the June 22nd, 2022 Randolph County meeting, which was appalling to watch because I decided today to share my experience. The public comment policy was thrown out the window that day by the commission nearly to gain votes, showing even more how much favoritism there is during these meetings. But I understand because all elected officials are worried about is getting re-elected, plain and simple. While attending and speaking during public comment, I was viciously attacked, specifically by two individuals, Commissioner Kiesling and Sheriff Elton. Not to mention the other commissioners were also complicit. I began in November of 2020 talking about body cams, and the first one to ever bring up the conversation. I have attended over 20 meetings, 21 to be exact, regarding body cams after Lieutenant talking to forcefully harassed and threatened my family. Not to mention, falsified a criminal complaint, which all was done intentionally because the powers that be in this county are so thin-skinned. While speaking during the public comment, I was personally accused and attacked of foul language, which never happened, disrespectful, I was never merely told the truth, public comment policy, trying to take away an individual's First Amendment right, Freedom of Information Act policy, making it harder and more expensive for an individual to get information that the public has a right to, still incorrect by citing one of the 16 exemptions, not just the whole code. The worst offenders are the prosecuting office and the Randolph County Sheriff Department. Others have also complained about the Freedom of Information Act policy. City of Elkins has a great website for the Freedom of Information Act policy, which was introduced to the commission numerous times. Agendas, I was left out. I provided numerous paper articles regarding the body cams and how other counties got them. I even tried to call Peggy Ross and was ignored left numerous messages. The county applied for the grant at the last minute. A mayor even offered times to hand out and help with the county. Mask, I was even attacked with the mask I wore, which is a First Amendment right. 5-minute frame, I was interrupted during the 5-minute frame before the public comment policy even started. By elected official, and a comment by elected official I never heard before. It deals with what goes on in here, not what's out in the public. I was accused of slander, which never happened, and in falsified minutes about being escorted out. The worst part I want to deal with is the March 15th hit piece, full of lies by a wannabe publisher and a that has no clue what journalism is, with the help of the sheriff and the newspaper by getting breaking news out of Facebook. When I first talked to the sheriff before these meetings about the body cams, he told me that he could not help because he was not there. First to ever bring up the issue about body cams, 20 meetings and in November of 2020. They came to my house with unlawful warrant. The reason I say that is they had no material facts. I have tried with 5 Freedom of Information Acts and 2 discoveries, and they still haven't provided me the evidence to say I threatened a family court judge. In the article, they said there was cameras everywhere. There was only 2 cameras on the front and back porch. Everything was done inside, and he knew that. That's why he took my family inside. I have 3 witnesses, so I'm not lying. I had no due process because they used my disability against me. My family was harassed and threatened. The ones doing all the lying is the Randolph County Sheriff's Department. I have 3 witnesses to prove that. The only reason for the cams on the Randolph County Sheriff's Department and the city police is me, because I started the conversation. I'm just so glad there will be cams on county and city cops now, so that the bare minimum, the public has a recourse against so many bad actions by law enforcement that has gone unchecked for decades in this county, because police in this county have way too many protections to be able to get out of scot-free. But so much more is needed to make sure cops are accountable for their bad actions, because they may encounter the incident that happened in Beverly and not my instance, which is 2 small instances. Normal citizens can't rely on the kangaroo court in this county for any type of justice. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you, Richard. Is there anybody else on public comment?
No, sir, no one.
All right, next item on the agenda is the minutes. We got 2 sets of minutes to be approved.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from the July 21st meeting as presented.
Okay, motion on the floor is to approve the minutes from our July 21st meeting. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Make a motion to approve the minutes from the July 27th meeting as presented.
All right, motion on the floor is to approve the minutes of our July 27th meeting. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Reports. Phyllis.
Hello,
Hello.
just a brief report. The new assessment system that we are required to use through the West Virginia State Tax Department, IAS World, is now up and running in my office. It's a web-based system. We are having a few issues, as you do with any new system, but we are trying to work through those. So, probably everything will be up and running for the 2023 taxes. It is taking us a bit longer to get data entered, personal property sheets and such, till we work through some glitches. I am going to bring back a retired employee, Debbie Eisner retired, but I'm going to bring her back for a few hours a week, pay her through extra help to help us get the data encoded, because it is gonna take us a bit longer. So, but we are moving along, and we will work through those problems as we find them.
I'm glad to see you bringing her back, so it'll help you out, and you have that money in your extra help
I
line.
do.
Okay. Anything else?
Oh, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Aaron?
I have provided, and this is gonna be a longer report because I'm giving you, the end of last year's numbers as well as the current ones. And I did some other statistics, and I'll just briefly touch on those, but they're for your, information. But if, on the first page, if you will look under the 2021, 2022, these are the final numbers for last fiscal year. So during that whole fiscal year, we had provided services for 266 individuals, just with the community corrections. Through that year, we had 14 full participants, 115 on bond, 10 services, 1 from parole, 1 check-in and drug screen, 4 from probation. I had 95 individuals complete my program. I had 75 terminate, but had 17 re-enter back in the program. I had 6 individuals attend rehab. We completed 1,113 community service hours. We completed 18,560 employment hours. I had 8 out of 10 individuals complete my domestic violence program. We administered, just with our people, 2,170 drug screens, where 448 were positive. The negatives was 1,722. With the community service hours, we saved the county $9,738.75. We collected with participation fees $25,484. With, the regional jail bill, we saved the county $1,640,849.75. So with the regional jail bill and the community service savings, we saved the county last fiscal year $1,650,588.50. If you look at the next column, which is our current numbers, we currently have 90 individuals on the program. And starting from this fiscal year that has come into the program from July 1st, we've had 3 full participants, 8 conditional bond, 2 services, 3 from parole, 1 from probation. I've had 6 individuals so far complete my program. I've had 5 terminate, but 1 re-enter. We've got 4 individuals currently in rehab. We've done 175 community service hours. We've done 1,200 employment hours. I haven't had anyone new come into the domestic violence program, so that's why there's 0 and 0. We have administered 211 drug screens, 36 are positive, which is 175 negatives. With the community service hours, we've saved the county $1,531.25. We've collected $3,820 so far. With the regional jail bill, we've saved the county $143,543.75. So the total community service hours and the regional jail, we've saved the county $145,075.
This is since July the 1st?
This is since July the 1st.
Okay.
If you can see, our numbers have come down. If you look at the last fiscal year compared to the 2021 fiscal year, we did have a significant amount less of referrals. So that's one reason why the regional jail savings is lower. I was really hoping from the last few years prior that we might hit the 2 million mark, but with the numbers going down, it didn't happen. So I'm gonna strive and see if we can help other individuals this fiscal year. So with those current numbers, the next page shows our current numbers. We have 12 full participants, 46 on bond, 16 services, 13 probation, 3 from parole, which is our 90. And of our 12 full corrections, we have 6 employed, 2 unemployed that we actually just recently got in the last couple of weeks. So they're working on finding jobs. I have 1 incarcerated waiting on to see what's happening with them. I do have 1 on the run, 1 on disability, and 1 currently in rehab. The next page is the final numbers from last fiscal year with our finances, minus the grant. So community corrections had spent $36,808.93. The revenue we brought in was the $25,484. We usually don't bring in enough money to cover that. We did that 1 year, but we still strive every year to try to cover that. But usually we don't bring enough participation fees in to cover that. With our enterprises, we brought in $286. There's never going to be an expense for them. It's just going to be a revenue. Because all we do, and we don't do a lot for them, so we just do drug screens and send them to the lab for them, and they supply everything. Our federal probation, we spent $13,250. We brought in $18,020. Drug court, we spent $38,326.52. We brought in $45,797.50. I will say that when we get to the next page, some of those months are not in because we got them this fiscal year, so that number would have been higher, but we got them this fiscal year. So DHR, we spent $142,504.62. We brought in $226,715. I will say that I'm waiting on DHR to give me numbers so I can submit the invoices of January, February, March, April, May, and June. So we've got about over $100,000 from last fiscal year technically to come. So that number would have doubled, or at least go up another 100,000, if not more. But I'm waiting on them to give me the numbers so I can submit them. So we will probably see an increase once I get those numbers. Juvenile scram, I gotta work with Supreme Court to get that money back. That's just a MOU issue. We'll probably see it hopefully this fiscal year. Parole, we spent $240. We brought in $1,134.30. So the total expenses minus the grant, we spent $231,830.07. We brought in $317,436.80, which put us $85,606.73 in the bank. Current numbers. We have spent with community corrections $5,976.71. we've brought in the $3,820. We've done nothing with our enterprises right at the moment. Federal probation, we've spent, this number is slightly wrong just because right before I walked over here, I got another invoice, so we need to add about $700 to that. But prior to that invoice, we have $350. We've brought in $6,810. Again, a lot of those invoices were from last fiscal year. They just happened to come in July and August. Drug court, we have brought in, or we've spent $4,995, but we've brought in $10,675. Again, those were invoices from last fiscal year. Because I actually just signed the invoice for drug court for July today, so it should be submitted soon. DHHR, we spent $12,415.31. Again, I'm waiting on those numbers to submit those invoices. So far, the expenses of this year, we've spent $23,737.02, and we've brought in $21,305. So we're in the midst of last year, this year, so hopefully things will start moving and we won't have the money coming in. Okay, the next page is the drug screens. This is, if you look at the bottom graph, the top two graphs are the previous years. But the bottom diagram is the numbers for community corrections drug screens. This is just for you to look at. Again, we did 2,170 drug screens last fiscal year. We had sent 127 to the lab. We did 83 blood tests, and of the total positives, that includes prescriptions, we had 658, but the actual positives was 448. The DHHR is the next one, and if you look at the second page of the DHHR, we did, for last fiscal year, we did 4,350 drug screens for CPS. We sent 247 to the lab. We did 344 blood tests. Of all the positives, there was 552 that included prescriptions. So if we take out the prescriptions, the actual positives were 335. But those show you each month on how many screens we did per month on both of those. The next couple of pages are just information for you. This is just the comparison of males and females with drug screens. So the second page shows the last fiscal year of 21-22, comparing the numbers between NCCC males and females to DHHR males and females. Again, as you can see, NCCC, we usually have more males on our program than we do females, and then like DHHR kind of flip-flops. We have more females than we do males. So the total number of male screens that were done for community corrections was 1,132. The females was 1,038. It's starting to get really close, about even now. But if you look at the DHHR males, there was 1,558 drug screens done last fiscal year, where the females was 2,792. And then the next couple of pages show the positives. That's just the comparison between positive screens, how many were males, how many were females, and the actual positives. So it's just information for you to look at. And then I did another document, I had my staff help me with this quickly, just showed how many actual males we had and how many females compared with NCCC and DHHR. So that just kind of shows you month by month how many males and females. So those are just stuff for you to look at. The next pages, there's two diagrams. They're a little confusing, that's why I give you the graphs. But that's the positive drug screens, what they were compared to males and females and the percentages. But the best way to look at it is total numbers, and that would be the graphs that were given at the end, which I gave you all the graphs. So with community corrections, you have 17, 18, 18, 19, I mean all the way up to the current. So we are still, last fiscal year, the biggest issue was methamphetamine at 44%. Marijuana is really leaning there at 23%. Buprenorphine is at 10%, and everything else is below 10%. So biggest issue with our community corrections individuals is still methamphetamine. Among the DHHR, I did notice that the methamphetamine is going down, but it just seems like once DHHR individuals start with us, not a lot of them test positive. I think you got the difference, you got the criminal side, and then you've got the abuse and neglect side. So, but among the DHR individuals testing positive, methamphetamine was 28%, marijuana was 36%, alcohol was 23%, and everything else remaining is still below, basically those were below 5%. We are still seeing methamphetamine being laced with fentanyl as well as MDMA, which is ecstasy. So not as much as we did at the beginning of the fiscal year, but it is still there. But our biggest issue still is methamphetamine in our area, at least among the people that we're screening.
Thank you.
Gave you a lot.
Have you had your board meeting?
That's next week.
Okay.
Next week from today.
Did I miss it?
Nope, from today.
All right, thank you. Sheriff?
No report.
Brenda?
No.
Correspondence, when's our next meeting? 2 weeks from today?
2 weeks from today.
2 weeks from today, 1:30?
Yep.
All right. Announcements? That's our meeting. Okay, item for discussion. Information presentation from Jack Tribble from the U.S. Forest Service.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the time. I'll try to make it brief. I do have a few handouts I'll give over to you here. And a few other things. Let's see if I can fit it all in here. So first off, wanted to kind of talk over the big picture forest stuff. And I have kind of a handout here. This is what's going on with the forest per se. This is kind of our fact sheet. And that kind of says, where are we, what are our numbers, what are we doing? And this is a briefing on just some stuff that I really wanted to make sure and have a little extra emphasis on. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yep. And last time I was here, I promised the forest map, and these were tough to get at one time, and I promised one. If we can make sure that we give one to Chris, and then you're the beneficiary of one as well, because I promised your predecessor that. So
Thank
you're welcome.
So Brady you get something Brady didn't get.
That's right, and don't tell him. I think the first thing you do is call him and tell him, Jack just went ahead and gave that to you.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome. A couple different things going on though. The overall big picture, the backside really has the numbers on there. In FY22, you'll see our budgeting and staffing. That says in transition. I did get numbers this morning. It's about 12.5 million. We went down a little bit from 21 in our budget. So we have a little less money this year, but just about the same, a little less. We did get about 6 or 7 more employees, moving things around and how we were doing employees. So we're at about 149 for the forest. Again, the forest is about 992,000 acres, so it's about just under 1 million acres. One other thing that I'd like to bring up is FY22 under the timber program has a little asterisk there. We have offered over 25 million board feet, but it has sold on there. We're at about 17.2 million board feet sold. And we have sales that we put out, but have not sold. So the issue really is the market's pretty soft right now. It's the middle of summer, we know it. Also, we're offering a lot of cherry, and cherry just has a difficult time selling right now. Whereas if we had white oak, we'd be selling every bit if we could. It's just a matter of where we have sales available, where we have markets. So the fall and the spring, we do much better at selling things. So I think when we reoffer it this fall, we'll be able to do pretty well. Our goal is 30 million board feet. So we're gonna offer 30 million board feet this year. Let's see what the market can hold. So that's where we are. There's an issue, I think everybody's gonna tell you this. If you hear this again, you'll probably strangle me, but it's getting employees for these people cutting. So employees, and getting capacity. So it's just been a capacity issue for people that wanna cut timber. That's been one thing that's been, people talk about quite a bit. Whether you're a mill, whether you're a timber cutter, who it is, it's just getting staff. So some folks are getting a little more effective with the way they're getting timber off the mountain. It's been more effective. So that's really seen a resurgence of feller bunchers, automatic cutting things. So we've seen a few things evolve a little bit for West Virginia, which is a good thing. And then we'll have some clear cut numbers. The total acreage sold by method of cut is 1,885. It says 637 total for this year. We just didn't update it after the spring. So I'm giving you something mid-year. We finish September 30, and we'll have solid numbers this fall, and I can come back and give you those solid numbers. But The rest of it kind of stays the same. We will get our prescribed fire program up and running again this fall. If folks followed it in New Mexico, they had a wildfire or a prescribed fire that got out and burned a lot of acres, so we have a nationwide moratorium right now. But I think that they're doing case by case and letting those go. 99.9% of all prescribed fires are fine. They don't end up this way, you just don't hear about them. So it's really a tool we're doing, especially over in the other counties, the drier counties. Not so much in Randolph County, but in drier counties it's gonna be an issue, especially with the fuel loading we have, so. With that, anything else you see on there, if you have questions about it, I'll have questions here in just a second. On the second sheet you have here, which is kind of just a briefing, recreation is booming. So it is just cooking. I guess if you've been out in the mountains, you've seen that, and we've been fishing, camping, mountain biking are the three biggest things going on right now. It's just been super, super busy. It started with COVID, and we thought, is this a bubble, or is this gonna make it, or is this gonna, dry up? It is not a bubble. It has just been continuously going. So recreation sites generally after the spring planting season for trout slows way down. It did not slow down this year, and again didn't slow down last year. So it has been very, very busy. I put a bullet in there, concerns over flooding areas. We've signed all of our areas. These flash floods we're having these days, it's just those long, easy rains we used to get. We're getting more intense storms, and we're getting a lot more of them. So the southern part of the state, Williams River, you probably heard rumors about all that stuff, bridges blowing out. We've just had, how do you have a 100-year flood 4 times in 8 years? I mean, I guess that's not a 100-year flood anymore. So anyway, it's just been super busy. We have all of our areas signed. One area that you guys might hear about would be Stone Coal up on top of the mountain. The place is just super busy. We have it signed. We don't have a lot of flooding problems there, but we're keeping an eye on it. We will be replacing the bridge going into Stone Coal. Now that's about a $300,000 bridge. It's a culvert now, and the culvert has a problem with the footer. So we've put in for money for about 3 or 4 years in a row, just got the money. My guess is dry period next summer, August, September, October, we'll probably try to replace that bridge within I'd say 6 to 8 week period. That's where our goal is. So it's gonna be a 70-foot bridge at a diagonal instead of going down, if you've been there. The culvert, you go down and take that hard left. We wanna angle that off a little bit in case you want to bring timber out, or it's easier for trailers and people camping. So that's Red Creek over there, another red run. There's about 1,000 red runs. But anyway, that's coming up. I'll brief you guys well before that happens, just so in case you do hear some public comment on that. I'll skip through the rest of it a little quicker. Trails being planned and constructed. Mauer Track Trail, if you've heard about that, Mauer Basin, lots of talk about the trails up there. Those are in Randolph County, and lots of use up in that area. With us doing lots of recreation work on the Cheat Mountain, the Mauer Tract area, it has become a pretty popular area. We fixed the road in 2015. That road was awful to drive down. Now we got a grant, $400,000 grant, fixed the road up all the way, all 7 miles. It's been just wonderful to have the traffic in there. East, Elkins Area Shared Trails, that's actually connecting this town and our communities, the towns through the area, with the mountains. So that's something that's just beginning, and they put in for a grant, they might get it. This is a whole large group of people working with John Morgan, who is the Chief Potomac District Ranger. He's my counterpart to the north. I'm out of the Bartow area, which makes me from kind of Highway 33 to Snowshoe to the state line, and he's of St. George and Petersburg all the way to Seneca Rocks. He has that northern area. So the two of us together combined to kind of have the northern end of the 500,000 acres. So he's been working on the east, which is Elkins Area Shared Trails. I had to look that up. It's east everywhere, but I had to figure out what the acronym is. But anyway, it is moving along, and it's working really well in Pocahontas County, and that's been a real bonus for them, bringing in a lot of tourism and a lot of things like that. So we're hoping to piggyback on some of those to really have some quality of life issues. Have trailheads here you can connect to the towns with, or connect to the mountains with. I kind of talked about the timber a little bit already. Markets are finicky, man. That's the same word that I've heard from a lot of folks in the last couple of weeks. The last 4 or 5 weeks have been really concerning. Nothing's moving. We still have 6 active sales, but we're worried about the future sales. So we're going to see how this fall picks up again, and we're hoping it'll just pick back up where we left it. Red oak's going well, soft maple's going well, a lot of things are going well. So we can't say it's all bad, but it is good. One thing that people have been talking about, but not knowing a lot about, is Forest towns. I don't know if you guys have hearing echoes of this. I just wanted to have a little bit of piece in there. I won't read each one of these, but the big point is I left the Forest towns. You can go around the website and look. You can always give me a call. Each town is 12 towns across the footprint of the Monongahela. So all the way, Petersburg and Davis and Thomas and Elkins and Durbin and Franklin and I'm gonna miss one, Cohen, Marlinton and White Sulphur Springs and Richwood. I probably got them all, but if I didn't, forgive me, somebody. Anyway, each one of those folks have one vote, and then what they're trying to do is use the economics of the whole area to get grants. 3 or 4 of these towns all need the same things. Instead of each one competing against each other, they're teaming up and going after grants cooperatively. And they're doing that, they're also doing marketing cooperatively. So I put in a few things. The grant committee is getting grants to actually help these small towns, Cohen and Richwood. Some of these people don't have the capacity to build grants, and that's been an issue. They can't get competitive. So this program is helping them get competitive, to get grants, to help them work together. So it's really working well. Everybody's pretty excited about it. The Forest Service helped start it. We've never been a voting member. Our point of this is not a federal program. This is a nonprofit. They're going to move towards nonprofit. The point of this is for them to keep their each individual uniqueness. Richwood is Richwood, Elkins is Elkins. Each town has its own uniqueness. So we're trying not to have a Forest Service feel to it. We're really having them take the ownership. So we're behind the scenes, having kind of a liaison role to try to help them out. So we've been providing staff to help them with meetings and things like that. It's going pretty well. I did leave one other thing on here about the 4th bullet down for the marketing committee. They have a Facebook thing out right now to say, they got a grant for a fall campaign for marketing. The marketing campaign is pretty cool looking. I mean, I'm not a marketing person, but it looks pretty neat. And then if you go click on this link, you can vote on what you'd like to see for Randolph County, for our area. Cultural, what cultural resources you want to look at, what arts, what recreation, what do you want on the advertisements? So we've been sending this out. You might see it bounce around on Facebook if you're a Facebooker. Is that a correct term? I'm not sure, but anyway, I'm not a Facebooker. But
DA, is that a?
I don't know if that is or not.
okay, well, don't book me on that. So, okay, so they're looking for high resolution photos for each of the areas, so that's coming up. Forest Towns is really putting some positive energy in and growing there. So the last thing is they just got a $2.3 million grant to get an executive director and also to bring in money for this Forest Towns. So it's really moving in the right direction. That was part of Woodlands Development helped with that program. So you guys are probably familiar with that. They have one last thing with them. The strategic plan is completed for the Forest Towns, and community health and wellness, supporting growth of local business and tourism, collaborative marketing, develop outdoor recreation, increase outdoor recreation employment, work on downtowns, and sustainable partnership framework. So those are the 7 goals. Lots of grants already out there that we've received. I say we as in this group has received. So it's been working. It's been a lot of work. Started probably in 2019, and then we got crippled with the whole COVID thing, but it's been really picking up steam. So exciting to see people excited about working together. And we've had pockets working together. I work in a lot of areas, and you see where people working together, it works well. So I hope this kind of grows and keeps going. So threw a lot at you with questions and updates. Anything you guys wanted to talk about or questions at all about the MON?
Do you have any questions, Phyllis, about the timber industry?
No, but I would like to have one of those maps.
Okay. One of the forest map?
What?
Yeah, they're very
Maybe-
difficult. They were
maybe
difficult
what
to
do you
get. Now I
use
can
at
get
the
them.
assessor's
So
office?
yeah,
Yeah.
I'll definitely get you one. So I'll stop by. And get
I'll
one.
give you mine.
Yeah,
As long as the commission office has one, I'll give her mine.
absolutely. I can drop another one by. So
All right.
yeah, not a problem there. So they are pretty nice maps. So we redid them a few years ago. So anything else for questions?
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
So the next item is consider approval letter for support for land purchase for the U.S. Forest Service.
Okay, so I have, of course, more handouts for you. The top parcel in orange is the one we're talking about. The bottom one will be related in a way that I'll show you about here in just a second. And you're welcome. So that top parcel there is the parcel that we are talking about. And we are working with the Nature Conservancy and with the landowner, Steve Callan. Essentially, that area, if you don't know where that is, I brought a big map here. When you see the big map, you can see I made it because I'm very elementary with the maps, but that is a well-made map. But I'm gonna go ahead and just lay this out, kind of just show you real quick. You don't have to really have a great view of this, but I'll just to give you an idea. So you see this parcel, oops, no you can't. Oh, you see this parcel right here.
That's the
kind of
300, that's 350 acres?
This parcel is right here.
Okay.
This parcel is about 1,000 acres. That's Cunningham Knob.
Okay.
Okay, Sinksagandi is right through here middle. Spruce Knob Lake, Spruce Knob itself, Laurel Fork Campground. So this tells you kind of Middle Mountain runs over here, Sinksagandi, and then the Spruce Complex over here. So this is right in the middle. Not a lot of public access in here, not a lot of hunting access in here. A lot of issues where you say, you know, people want to get out there and hunt, they want to hike, they want to do all those kind of things. It's just really landlocked in this area. This parcel has some opportunities. That 350 acres and then the 94.94 are the ones that the landowner approached the Forest Service and the Nature Conservancy. So essentially what would happen is if this body and others agreed, we would have to compete for it at a regional level, and we would go after purchasing that and then making that public and having access. So on the small map there, the parcel that says 1334, that's Cunningham Knob. You'll see a road coming off the top, that little red kind of rectangle there. That road has public access to this piece. We would actually be gaining access across that whole area if we were able to pick up this parcel. Incredible area for hiking, hunting, all kinds of issues over there. A lot of bird hunters like this area because it has a lot of grouse and a lot of turkey. So it does have a high value there. I did have some language that I just kind of ginned up. You guys obviously have any language if you decided to support this. I have some language here that I'll pass out. The acre, if you go out there, if you've been to the Sinksagandi, open country, some spruce on the top, some spruce down in the bottoms, has been pasture land for many, many years. The reason I left the 556 acres on the bottom, that's also the same pasture land, that's owned by a man named Will Arbogast, and he is also willing to work with the Nature Conservancy and put that into conservancy if the other parcel sells. And then there's a third piece that is over in the Sinks, over in Smokehole, which is in Pendleton County. That if all these pieces fall into place, then we might be able to in turn get that and have public access into Smokehole. So this seems to be the crux between the Callans. I don't know if you know Steve Callan, landowner that owns the town of Spruce. He owns lots and lots of land all over the place. But he's willing to work with us on this parcel. The Nature Conservancy would buy it initially, and then we would probably buy it from the Nature Conservancy because we move at a slow pace. That is, in a nutshell, what's going on there. Pretty prime time piece. Properties in the Sinksagandi I have not seen in my 15 years here, a lot of properties in the Sinksagandi. If they come up for sale and another family owner buys them, you just don't see it a lot.
Is this out your neck of the woods? So you know where this property's at?
Well, yes, very, very much so.
Yeah, so it's
I
south of
graduated-
Teeter.
Okay, I graduated with the Teeter boys too,
Yeah.
at the Sinksagandi.
It's just the parcel south of Zach.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's not really the parcel where the Sinksagandi is located?
It is not the Sinksagandi parcel. That
Okay.
would be on the opposite side of Cunningham Knob. That would be on the northwest side. Now that property is for sale,
It is.
but they do not want to sell to the federal government because we only buy it for appraised value.
Okay.
So they want 4 or 5 times the appraised
Oh,
value.
yeah, like 17 million.
Yeah.
Everybody talks about.
Yeah.
So, I know Mr. Callan very well.
Yeah.
So the parcels that you're talking about in orange
The
are,
2 northern ones, these 2.
okay,
This is Arbogast.
okay, but Mr. Callan is willing to sell this?
Those 2. Yeah.
Okay, but Mr. Arbogast is willing to
Put
do.
that into an easement if those two sell north of them. Well, I think that they're independent, but they're working in it together, so.
Yeah.
It's complicated because the real complications, you probably understand this, is there's almost no public access
Right.
in Smoke Hole.
Right.
And if this all falls out, then this could lead to having access in there, so.
And I have talked to Mr. Callen several times, and I know he's doing a lot of things as far as estate planning and trying to
Absolutely.
do what's right for his property.
Yep.
And that kind of stuff, so yeah.
I think he had a
he's
cancer.
very conscientious about that.
He had a cancer scare last year, and I think he's been moving in that direction. So, he has probably just under 20,000 acres of the finest property in the state. And he's looking at how he wants to move those, keep most of it in private ownership, but to have conservation easements on some of those, so.
And the conservation easement, basically, with a conservation easement, that person still owns the property, but has entered into agreement that it won't be used for anything but,
What's in the easement? Usually with the Nature Conservancy, and so all of these are involving West Virginia branch of the Nature Conservancy, and Thomas Minnie's the executive director, so we wouldn't have anything to do with the Will Arbogast property, but I feel like if that northern piece doesn't sell, then I think that, there's some subtleties with it, I don't know, so I can't control it, but I know that, it'll be an important piece to sell, it'll be an important piece to pick up. And I think that if that money went towards Mr. Callen, he could do other things, and I think he's getting very, very interested in getting his estate squared away. Is that kind of what you're hearing?
oh yeah.
So the letter you wanted to say, like, Randolph County has tremendous recreation areas in and around the Monongalia National Forest. One of the area that does not have good public access for hunting, fishing, hiking is the Sinks of Gandy area. The Monongalia National Forest has an opportunity to purchase property adjacent to Cunningham Knob and open up a large area of the Sinks of Gandy to public access for recreation. We, the Randolph County Commission, support the U.S. Forest Service purchase of the Callen, Cunningham area land acquisition.
Something to that effect, however you wanna say it, yeah.
All right, so we can take that up at the next meeting and have it approved at the next meeting.
You have it on the agenda this meeting, you can,
But,
you have to read it, okay.
yeah, that and, will have to be, I mean, we could, it's not, can it be done that, just with us reading it and,
We could print it on letterhead after it's approved.
okay. We'll go ahead and approve what I just read, you have to make a motion to approve that.
Yeah, we could just put that as making a motion to approve
Letter of support.
a letter of support. And then
As
we can
written,
do it how
just-
we want to do it.
Okay,
So I'll make a motion to approve, a letter of support, for the, National Forestry to buy that property.
okay, so motion on the floor is to approve the letter of support for the U.S. Forest Service to, for the land purchase as presented. Any further discussion? All in favor? All right, so we get that done.
Thank you for your time.
All right, next item on the agenda is consider approval appointment to the Randolph County E911 Advisory Board. We have a letter from the board. They would like to have Keith Brand to fill the unexpired term of Bob Elvin. Mr. Brown's appointment to the vacant seat will begin immediately and end on June the 1st of 2024. So I have a motion to approve that.
I'll make a motion to approve Keith Brown to the Randolph County Emergency 911 Advisory Board to fill the unexpired term of Bob Elvin, beginning immediately and ending June 1st of 2024.
So motion on the floor is to approve Keith Brown to the Randolph County E911 Advisory Board, effective immediately and ending on June the 1st of 2024. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next item on the agenda is to consider approval of the quote from Casto Technical for the Magistrate Building. We have a quote from Casto. This is to install a 4-ton split system, furnish and install a carrier 4-ton split system, tie in the air handler into the existing ductwork and electrical disconnects, furnish and install refrigeration lines between two equipment, a nitrogen pressure check, pull vacuum, and properly charge the unit, perform the startup, and dispose of any old equipment. The quote is for $16,310. So do I have a motion to approve the quote?
I'll make a motion to approve the quote from Casto Technical in the amount of $16,310 as presented.
So motion on the floor is to approve the quote from Casto Technical in the amount of $16,310 for work to be done at the magistrate building. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, last item on the agenda is to consider approval of the reimbursements to the Randolph County Housing Authority. We're a pass-through agent for them, and they have two, this is from the CDBG grant too as well. There's 3 invoices, one for 2,301.71, 1,559.77, and 1,820.80. So do I have a motion to approve the reimbursements to the Randolph County Housing Authority?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the payment to the Housing Authority for invoices 12, 13, and 14 to be taken from the 160 fund.
Again, we're a pass-through agent through the CDBG grant. Invoice 12 is for 2,301.71, invoice 13 is 1,559.77, and invoice 14 is for 1,820.80. So is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, I think that's it. So final settlements, annual accountings. Brenda?
All right. Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the 3 final settlements as presented.
Motion on the floor is to approve the 3 final settlements as presented. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Budget revisions. We have 2 budget revisions. First one is a state budget revision, and it's for, at the last meeting, we, took $700,000 from the ARC funding for, revenue replacement. This is just to divide that $700,000 into proper line items. We're taking $500,000 to the, to move out of that 700 to the community development line. And then we created a revenue replacement line of $200,000, so that'd be $700,000. Again, with this money, it has to be allocated to what we're gonna spend it for by 2024 and then spent by 2026. Even though we moved this money from the original ARC funding to our budget, it still falls into the guidelines of what we can and cannot spend it for and how and when we have to spend it. So this is a state budget revision again. So Commissioner Seiler.
Aye.
Commissioner Keithling, aye. Motion passes. I mean, the budget is done. The next one is another state budget revision. This is where we're taking the anything that's in the sheriff's canine budget. He had lines there, but this is actually a new, it's where a budget that we can.
So under the chart of accounts, instead of putting any like canine specific lines, it has to be separate from the sheriff's normal law enforcement budget. So it's basically just changing the line items that.
So
those
anything has to do with a
amounts are on.
canine officer and such.
Yep.
All right, so it's actually just moving $86,402 from his original budget to this new budget for the canine. So again, state budget revision, Commissioner Seiler.
Aye.
Commissioner Keithling, aye. All right. Next is division of properties and erroneous assessments.
Well, I never had time to count. I don't know how many's there, I don't put that on the minutes anyway, how many's there, we just make a motion to approve.
We don't want him to count them. Just say we,
That's what I
to
do.
approve the division of properties as presented.
These all,
They're erroneous assessments.
they're all erroneous.
There's nothing separated for division.
You guys sign Chris's stamp
There's a pile of them.
as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the erroneous assessments as presented.
The motion on the floor is to approve the pile of erroneous assessments as presented. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Distressed properties. Any distressed properties? No distressed properties. Fire fee adjustments? No fire fee adjustments. Payment of the bills.